Alaikum, brothers and sisters. I'd like to congratulate you on the month of Rajab and the month of the day of birth of Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. It's been 3 months since I came over here last time. Last time I talked about the importance of New Year's resolution. As I was looking back 3 months, I just realized that I've grown 30 years. So I've been in this world for 30 years, and the birthday of Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam that we are celebrating today, it's been 1339 years. The supposed crucifixion of Jesus has been 2016 years ago. Hazrat Adam came to this world 9,000 years ago. This earth came into being 4.53 billion years ago. This universe, as we know it, came into this being 14.53 billion years ago. I don't want to talk about numbers. The only thing that is to be taken from these numbers is I've been here only 30 years. And this universe, our universe that we see, not the 7 heavens that Allah created in 6 days, has been here for 14.53 billion years. Are we really doing justice to learning about this universe? We can never do justice because we don't have enough time in our life. We're here for like 100 years maximum. Out of that, most of our time as child is spent stressing about where to go, like how to pass exams. When we grow up, where do we get admissions in university? Once we get into university, how to complete projects, get a good GPA, get a career, get married, and then have children. And then the cycle repeats. The remaining time that we have in this life is consumed by political nonsense, other non-issues that the media and this society throws at us, so that we are consumed with non-important stuff. We don't care about what this universe has to offer, what Allah has created in past 14.5 billion years. Or we can never really understand that. But the question is, are we really trying? I talked about the astronomy part in Zainabiyya a few weeks ago. I won't go in that detail. What I would like to emphasize today, with the importance of the month of Rajab, which you've already heard, it's a very blessed month. I would like to talk about Marifat of Allah Ta'ala, but with emphasis on time and knowledge. These are the 2 areas that we get from Quran. Even the 27 Rajab, it's all about, like if you think about it, it's about time. How Allah Ta'ala took His beloved Prophet from Mecca to Arsh without any change in time. That event in itself shows us the importance of time, the importance of knowledge. But the problem is, the marifat of Allah Ta'ala is not easy. It's almost next to impossible. Therefore, I'll talk about marifat of Allah Ta'ala today, but I will talk about marifat of Imams. Through the marifat of Imams, we're going to talk about how in today's world we can gain that marifat through the tools that we have today. The tools that were not available 50 or 100 years ago. And once we know that, I'll talk about few examples that I personally had when I visited Medina this year. Marifat, the concept of marifat is very easy, but it's for children, it's just to understand what a true potential of someone is, of imams, of Allah Ta'ala. It's impossible to understand that potential because Allah Ta'ala in Surah Zumar, Surah Hajj, and Surah Al-An'am says they did not do justice to how Allah should have been understood. Since Quran is till the end of days, I don't think anyone can do justice if Allah Ta'ala has already said that. In Dua Mashlul, Hazrat Ali says, O Allah, O thee God, no one knows who is he, why is he, where is he, and how is he. Only he himself is all-knowing. So if our Imam doesn't know who was present at a time before the creation, then we can only think if we can ever know. However, Allah Ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah says, when my servants ask you, O Muhammad, about me, then surely I am near. I answer the prayers of supplications supplicator when they beseech me. So it's a very interesting concept. Allah Ta'ala is near us, but at the same time, no one knows who He is. So what should we do now? At that point, there are two things we can do. One, know our Imam, all the Imams, and then try to understand, leverage the knowledge that we have, and do an effort in this direction. So that by the time we end this life, we are not sitting or lying on our deathbed realizing we wasted our 60, 70 years not knowing what we could have known. Because once the time passes, once the angel of death comes, there will be nothing to learn. Everything will be clear. It just will be too late. So, our Imams are signs of Allah on this planet, on this earth. They laid the foundation of knowledge. And this is relevant to Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam because his laqab Baqir was because Holy Prophet said that my fifth Imam after me will open the doors of knowledge. And that's why he's known as Baqir al-Ulum. His work in the field of education, knowledge, laid the foundation of modern chemistry, modern physics, astronomy, all of this technological advancements that we are seeing right now are from that knowledge that came from Imams. Let me give you a perspective. If the universe started on 1st of January, and right now is the midnight of December 31st. Prophet Adam came into this world 15 seconds ago. Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came here 5 seconds ago. So all of these advancements has happened in the past 5 seconds of the calendar year of the universe. Can people think of what is the reason why such quick advancements? I can guess one reason, because of Imams. When they opened the knowledge, there was no stopping. Jabir bin al-Hayyan, all of these famous Muslim scientists, they are students of our Imams. But sadly, no one recognizes that. Since the start of Imamate, and this is another mu'jiza. One is knowledge. The second mu'jiza of Imams is the event of Karbala and the Azadari. We as Shias kept azadari for the 1400 years. I don't know if we have kept the knowledge foundation that we were supposed to, as laid by our Imams. That is the sad part. That is the part that we need to work on. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But talking about Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam specifically for today, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam, I was reading a couple of events from his life, from Biharul Anwar. And in one event, it was very interesting that a person comes to Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam and says, Imam, I've heard that you know your Shias. Imam said, yes, we know our Shias. We even know their parents, their grandparents, and their entire lineage. And we have everything documented. Who is our Shia? Who will be our Shia? And you know what? If our Shias are capable, we will even teach them language of animals. We will open so many doors of knowledge for them that they cannot even imagine. When he told that to that person, he said, do you want me to tell you anything else that we know our Shias? And he said, no, we're good. But the concept is, are we the real Shias? And if we become the real Shias, or strive to go in that direction, a lot of things will happen. Doors of knowledge will open, even without our Imam not being here physically present. Things will happen, because things have always happened once they wanted to. The second event regarding Marifat of Imams, it's a personal anecdote that I experienced this year in Medina. So it's related to another waqia from Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Salam. And I'll tell the waqia, and then I'll tell my personal experience. And then I'll tell you the power of Marifat. If one gets that, how it helps, or what happens. So another person comes to Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam. He was very poor person, and he was very worried. So he comes to him and says, I'm very upset, I'm very pareshan in my situation right now. Imam said, should I tell you what you want, or should you want to tell me? He said, my father was a person who disliked Ahl Bayt. He liked Banu Umayyah after Prophet Muhammad. He lived in Syria, but because I loved Ahl Bayt, he died but did not give me anything. He was very wealthy. I went to his home after his death and wanted to get some money so that I can pay off my loans. And I did not find anything. I'm very sure he hid everything from me. So Imam wrote a letter to him and gave the letter to this person and said, go to Jannat al-Baqi after midnight and say, Darjan, Darjan. A person will come to you and give my letter to him. He does the same thing. He goes to Jannat al-Baqi the same night and does that. Next day, the person who's narrating, comes back to Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam and asks, what happened to that person? In the same time, that person was sitting over there. So he tells him, when I said Darjan, Darjan, someone came and gave him the letter. He brought a black person to me and said, this is your father. I told him, he's not my father. My father was not black. He said, because of hell's fire and smoke, this has become of him. Because of the enmity that he had of Ahl Bayt. Even though he was a Muslim. After that, The father says, I have hid my treasure or my wealth under the olive tree in my property. You go take the wealth, divide it into two pieces, give half of it to Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, and keep half of it. So he comes, he gives it to Imam Baqir, and that was the end of that. So, couple of lessons from this. That Imam has knowledge beyond comprehension. Imam can communicate with beings out of our sights. But the second concept is about marifat. Can we use this marifat for our benefit once we have the marifat? So I was standing near Jannat al-Baqi. I read this waqia before going for Hajj. So I went outside of Jannat al-Baqi at like 2 a.m. It was after Hajis have already went for Hajj. So it was very empty in Medina. And this happened like few months ago. So I opened this Bahar al-Anwar. I could not read it because of the restrictions. So I was standing against a post right outside Jannat al-Baqi so that the people don't see me. And I started calling Darjan, Darjan. I called like 4 or 5 times. I was like, if something is going to happen, it's going to happen right now because this is the same place. Imam Baqir is right there. And then suddenly I realized, like, what if something really happens? I don't have a letter from Imam. What if someone comes? And as I was thinking, I heard footsteps. And there was no one there in the entire area for the last 30 minutes. And I started hearing footsteps. And my heart started pounding. I was like, what am I going to do if something happens right now? And I said, Mom, forgive me. I don't have it. I just did it because I wanted to see what happens. And then suddenly there was like one woman going by. Like single woman in the middle of the night. It was like the weirdest thing that happened. Like in Saudi Arabia, a woman going at 2 a.m. at night. I mean, it's possible, but nothing was there for like last 30 minutes. So it could have happened 10 minutes ago. It could have happened after that, but it happened right when I was saying Darjan. So things happen. Even without Imam being here, if you have marifat, if you stay up at night, wake up for Fajr, things will happen. But it's just having that marifat, which as humans we sometimes fall short of. So another example that I recently read about, and it's a very interesting example in terms of what is the role of Imam and what is our role in this world. So if we think of a shepherd who is herding his sheep, he knows there is a green pasture 30 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour away, but he has never been there. He has heard of it. If there is no compass, he can go in any direction. So the role of Imams and their wilayat is like a compass. We are shepherds, our kith, kin are our sheep. Everyone can be a sheep or a shepherd. But the goal is to motivate everyone to take them towards that green pasture which is told by Quran Majid. But how do we reach there? There are certain signposts that this will happen along the way that are mentioned in Quran. But what is the compass? That compass is the wilayat of Imam that keeps you in the right direction on an ongoing basis. Muhammad. So, now since we have talked about marifat and we have talked about time, the question comes, how do we bring marifat in our daily lives? Because it's easy to talk, and that is what I always felt when I went to majalis. if someone just gave me an example, what to do, rather than just reading Quran, because that is very important. But is there anything else that we can do from our daily lives? So, few things that I've done over the past several years, and this is something that my brother told me when I was driving 2 hours one way, that why don't you listen to Quran Majid and translation? For us, it's more of translation because we don't know Arabic like that. We can read it, but we don't know the translation. So that is one thing. Like if you're going to work, coming back from work, just reading, just listening to Quran, just listening to Najul Balagha, just listening to like some du'as, and just thinking about the du'as, not just listening because of the sake of listening, but thinking about those. And then from the technological perspective, if you think of all the documentaries, there are a couple of really interesting documentaries by BBC. One is Cosmos, A Space-Time Journey. If you view that documentary, you'll think about how small we are as compared to all the universes, like only the stars. And there's another documentary in BBC, Inside Human Body. If you read that, or if you listen or like watch that, it's like amazing how many small things, the entire universe is inside our body. Which is what Imam Ali said. A person who learned about himself, he recognized God. Now with this technology in this day and age, we have the ability to learn. We have the ability to understand better than what people prior to us had. We just have to view these documentaries from a lens of Islam rather than just science, but think about it like who is the creator who did that. Once we do that, that is the tipping point where you start seeing things. And then when you read Quran, you're gonna see a different perspective of Quran, because knowledge is the foundation of Ma'rifat. So there are certain benefits of Ma'rifat in our daily life. Once you have Ma'rifat, you are not worried about your job, because you know that Allah Ta'ala will give you rizq. You have to work hard. Don't get me wrong, this is a critical part, because Allah says a person gets what he strives for. But without Ma'rifat, everyone is stuck. The thing is, what happens if I lose this job? What happens if I don't do this? What happens if I do this? All of these ifs and buts. I talked to Dr. Hatem a few years ago, and Dr. Hatem told me a very, very interesting, very good suggestion. Instead of doing istikhara, like whether you should do it or not, just offer 2 rakat prayer and say, oh Allah, if this is good for me, make it happen, and just do it. Work hard, and Allah Ta'ala will either make it happen or it won't happen right away. And that has really worked. So you need to make sure that you work hard, have Ma'rifat, and don't be scared about jobs. And then once you're not scared, you can start companies. You can go on your own. You can be successful. But the fear that shaitan brings into humans from mal is what keeps us from doing a lot of these things in our life. So, in the end, some of the things that we should do, and these are my thoughts as community, as Shias of Imam Ali alayhi salam, that we haven't done. I talked about initially how our knowledge has declined. I won't say declined, but as Shias, we haven't done that much research or showcased our research as the West has, although the source of knowledge are the Imams. So, some of the things that we should do is the research that is ongoing, the speakers that come from different countries. There should be some sort of research papers that are published, so that the new research happens on top of the old research. It isn't the same continuation of the same topics. And like how every 5 years, the curriculum of 5th grade is now taught in 4th grade, the basic concepts should be so strong in every Shia that they can think about broader, more complex research topics in this world, rather than the same topics being talked about in every year. Because this institution of Azadari, the Masaib of Imam Hussain, brings the entire Shia community together. So why don't use the same institution to build on the research, the foundational knowledge that our Imams gave us? In the end, it is not an easy task. It takes a lot of effort, and no one can get there like to the ultimate marifat. But the only thing we can do is to work hard towards striving that goal. If we don't strive and we pass from this world, we're gonna miss out on an opportunity that is like none other. Being from the school of Shias of Imam Ali, living in a society where science and technology has opened so many doors, why can't we explore the sayings of Imam Ali that I know the paths of skies more than you know the paths of the land? Does that mean black holes are a way to go from this universe to another universe? Who knows? But are we exploring those sayings? Are we doing the research? It's our responsibility. And this is the only life that we're going to get. So we should use it. Thank you very much. And sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.